Alright, so 2018's A Quiet Place is directed by John Krasinski, who also stars in the film, which is actually a little bit similar to a movie that came out earlier this year. Not similar in terms of plot or anything like that, but similar in terms of having the actor in the film also direct the film and have it be their directorial debut. And funny enough, both of these actors are actually Office actors, actors from the US version of The Office. John Krasinski, of course, played Jim Halpert on The Office, but the one I'm talking about is Vengeance from 2022, which stars and is also directed by BJ Novak, who played Ryan Howard on that show. Has nothing to do with this movie whatsoever, but I just wanted to bring that up and recommend it to people because it's one of my favorite movies I've seen this year. But as for A Quiet Place, I do really love this movie. It's a very different kind of movie. It seems like something M. Night Shyamalan would do, but done so much better than how M. Night Shyamalan would do it. I gotta be honest, I'm not a big M. Night Shyamalan fan. In fact, at times I really don't like his movies. Same kind of goes for Christopher Nolan. I'm not even gonna lie there. Tenet was, ooh, that was bad. But directed by John Krasinski, his directorial debut. He also directed the sequel, which I will not be talking about anytime soon, I don't think, unless you guys really want my review for that, which I will be more than happy to do. I have seen it. But yeah, if you want me to review the sequel anytime soon, comment down below, and I might be able to make that happen. But yeah, in here we have Emily Blunt as Evelyn Abbott. We have John Krasinski as Lee Abbott. We have Millicent Simmons as Reagan Abbott and Noah Jupe as Marcus Abbott. There are a couple other characters there, like Cade Woodward as Bo and Leon Rossum as the Man in the Woods, but they don't play a super huge role in the movie, so yeah, it's mainly the four characters there that I listed before. I love movies that can keep their cast very, very small while having the movie feel very big. It's on a smaller scale, but at the same time, what you're dealing with in this movie makes it feel bigger than just, the small town that they're kind of confined to, the small farmhouse that they're contained to. And a lot of this movie, hence the name A Quiet Place, a lot of it is silent. Well, not completely silent, but the characters aren't talking at least. And the interesting thing here is you have Reagan Abbott, who is deaf. The actress in real life is deaf as well. And basically they all use sign language, and they used sign language. We actually saw this a little bit in the sequel. They actually used sign language before the crazy shit that happens in this movie happened. And yeah, so that's an interesting thing going into it, is that they already kind of had that advantage going into this. And what is it that's happened? I will get to that in a minute here. But them not being able to talk and then them also knowing sign language just gives them that much of an advantage in this movie, and also adds an interesting aspect to the plot overall, where you have this deaf girl who, it seems like a weakness, but at the same time, in the movie, it's almost her strength in a way. And I don't want to get into too many details on why and how, because I do want people to watch this in case they haven't. This is not going to be a spoiler review by any means. But her character is amazing. Her character is even more amazing in the sequel. Her character is basically the main character of that one. And Millicent Simmons, keep an eye on her her work, because I have a feeling she's going to be doing a lot going forward. Also, there's a really loud truck going by, so sorry about that. But yeah, the family in here, they seem super close, and that's partially because John Krasinski and Emily Blunt, I'm sure many of you know, are actually married in real life. So it's easy for them, and they have kids as well, so it's easy for those actors to pull not only from their own marriage, but their own, parenthood as well, and how they would react and how they would try to protect their kids in a situation like this. And I'm going to go ahead and say what that situation is. It's basically aliens, but at the same time, it's not like a super huge alien invasion kind of movie. It's not War of the Worlds. It's not Independence Day. It's such a personal story to this family, and I don't know, it doesn't feel like another sci-fi movie. It doesn't feel like another sci-fi horror movie by any means. In fact, when I was watching this, I was like, is this a good one for Halloween? I mean, kind of. A Quiet Place is a good, like, kind of freaky movie to watch around Halloween. But at the same time, I was like, this movie is more about the family than anything else. And I don't know. I just really got to commend this movie for so many new and different things that it tried. While it might not all be completely new and some of it might have been done before, the fact is they did it really well here. And that's something not every movie can do. Even with having an interesting premise, not every movie can really make a plot worth watching, make something that, you know, holds on to your emotions and just rips them right out of your chest. And this movie definitely does. Of course, you gotta have a plane flying right over my house. That's the second time today. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to land on my house or something. But yeah, there's so many things I love in this movie, from the acting to the writing, sound design especially, and the set design. There's a lot of interesting things they do with the idea of not being able to make sound. So they have like sand trails leading to town all the way back to their house, and they walk barefoot so they don't make as much noise. Instead of having plates, they use lettuce leaves as their plates, so that doesn't make as much noise. They cook the food in the floorboards, which I'm not 100% sure how that works, but that's cool. But yeah, speaking of not knowing how things work, there's a lot of kind of plot holes in here and things that don't make sense when you think about it a little too much. Such as there's a newspaper printed that Lee has in his basement that's like, oh, it sounds, be quiet, be safe. But at the same time, I'm thinking, like, it's a newspaper. You know how loud newspaper printers are? Like, that shit has to be so fucking loud. How the hell did that get out? Like, how did anybody make that newspaper and not die? And if they did, how did it get out to anybody? That doesn't make any sense to me. What was the other thing that didn't really make sense? Oh, there's just small moments in there where it seems like the monsters kind of pick and choose who they go after, even if they're making sound or not. There's a moment in there where there's like a raccoon that makes noise at one point and is like fighting with another raccoon, and the monster doesn't come. And then the raccoon's walking on the sandpath a little bit later, just like chilling, and then it gets killed. And I'm like, well, that doesn't really make sense. Is the monster just like, hey, you made a sound earlier? And I'm not going to lie, Ryan George from Pitch Meeting did make that joke, but I thought that was hilarious. And also, I didn't think about it until I watched that Pitch Meeting. I was like, yeah, why did the monster not kill it immediately? That doesn't make sense to me, but oh well. But yeah, it really does seem to pick and choose when it kills and when it doesn't. And then just some of the rules about noises, like big or small, don't completely make sense to me, but it is what it is. It really doesn't take away from the story for me. It's just small little things in there I feel like they probably should have paid a little more attention to, because it wouldn't really make sense in the long run. But yeah, what makes the little dialogue in this movie, the very little dialogue in this movie, work really well is the fact that you have no dialogue for the rest of it. I would say you don't get a character speaking until maybe about half an hour in. You do get music with somebody singing, but that doesn't really count. It's not one of the characters talking. You don't get one of the characters to talk until about 30 minutes in. And when they do, it's just like, oh my God, they're talking. Like, it throws you off. And for me, I've seen this movie plenty of times, so it like doesn't. But just like any loud scenes in this movie are so easy to get freaked out by. There was one moment where I did jump. I'm not going to say what it was because it's a little bit of a spoiler, but even having watched this film a few times, there was one moment where I was like, oh shit. But yeah, they're not too heavy-handed on jump scares. It depends on your idea of jump scares and how much jump scares get you. Because there are some things that'll kind of get you a little bit, but for me personally, it's just like small stuff doesn't really do it for me. It has to be like huge, well, not huge. It doesn't have to be like right in your face, but the music has to go boom like that. You know what I mean? To like really freak me out and like have a quick cut to something. You know what I mean? Like most of the jump scares in this movie don't really get me. Maybe it's just because I've seen the movie a few times, but especially in a theater, I think most of the jump scares would get most people because in the theater, you might have some people eating popcorn and shit, but you're probably like staring them down, being like, dude, you're gonna kill us all. But like in the theater, this is a really good theater going movie experience, I guess you could say. I believe I've seen both in the theater. Yeah, I think I did. And I just remember like being so tense in the movie theater, being the most quiet for a packed theater that I've ever seen slash heard. It's such a good movie going experience, this movie. So if you ever get the chance, if they ever are randomly showing this movie for whatever reason at your theater, definitely recommend going to watch it because it's the best for the big screen for sure. In a dark room with other people around you making noise and shit, it's great, honestly. Yeah, let me see here. I don't think I have too many other notes. One thing I will say, I would immediately die in this scenario. I can't not make noise, so I would be screwed. Yeah, I would be absolutely fucked. Um, yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I have to say. That's everything I had my notes on. So yeah, I just do want to say this is a really great movie. If you haven't watched it, I would highly recommend it. I'm definitely going to give this movie a solid, yeah, 9 out of 10. 9 seems fair. It's a great movie. It's not quite 10, but they do a lot of things in this movie that are just bananas and also just heart-wrenching, and it's a really impressive movie. So I would definitely recommend checking out 2018's A Quiet Place. Have you seen it? I would love to know. What do you think? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Are you in the middle? Comment down below, and I'd love to hear from you. Have you not seen it? Are you planning on watching it this Halloween season or just at any point in general? I would also love to know that. Why or why not? Leave a like on the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload, and I will be back tomorrow with my review for Pray for the Devil. We'll see how that is.